I really can't believe we just attacked a foreign country that has nothing to do with us and is not a threat to us only because Benjamin Netanyahu said so. And then afterwards, Trump thanked Netanyahu? That's too much. That's too much.
After bombing Iran tonight, bringing the U.S. directly into this war in flagrant violation of international and domestic law, Trump gave this deranged speech.
Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror.
Iran doesn't have nuclear weapons. Even Trump's own intelligence agencies said Iran wasn't building a bomb. You know who does have nuclear weapons? Israel and the U.S. And the U.S. has used them on civilians, incinerating hundreds of thousands in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And since World War II, the U.S. has directly murdered nearly 10 million people in its wars in Korea, Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan, and backed the murder of tens of millions more, supporting death squads, dictatorships, proxy wars throughout the world. Tell me again, who's the world's #1 state sponsor of terror?
For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. They have been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off their legs with roadside bombs. That was their specialty. We lost over 1,000 people and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East.
Apparently this lying motherfucker is now trying to blame Iran for what happened in Iraq. Yes, after illegally invading and occupying Iraq, some American troops were killed by roadside bombs. Most of those bombs were planted by Sunni forces, not the Shiite militias backed by Iran. As for hundreds of thousands killed in the Middle East, it's the U.S., not Iran, the U.S. that murdered nearly 1 million people in Iraq.
This cannot continue. There will be either peace or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than we have witnessed over the last 8 days. Remember, there are many targets left.
And here we get to the heart of Trump's gangster fascist speech. Do what we say or else. Forget about Iran's sovereignty. Forget about the fact that you're supposed to get congressional approval to start a war. Forget about the danger of escalation, even world war this poses. It's just raw, destructive power. Again, tell me who's the world's #1 state sponsor of terror? As the revolutionary leader Bob Avakian said,
"We can no longer afford to allow these imperialists to dominate the world and to determine the destiny of humanity. They need to be overthrown as quickly as possible."
Everyone, everywhere, into the streets. Stop the U.S.-Israeli war of aggression against Iran. The Trump fascist regime must go now.
I think this situation of Donald Trump and the United States bombing Iran really just proves how diverse of thought the right is versus the left. Many conservatives, including myself, have said that we do not agree with Trump doing this. I personally think this could escalate into a situation that's much worse, and I don't think it's our battle. Israel seems like they're the ones that constantly wants to fight them. They can do that and leave us out of it. Many conservatives feel that exact same way. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this bombing is a one-time thing and Iran backs down, like I think Trump is hoping happens. And if that happens, I'll say I was wrong. What the left is proving right now is that if this was Biden, they would not be speaking out against it. Let me show you. One big talking point the left is having right now, especially at congressmen and senators, is that Trump's bombing of Iran is unconstitutional. But literally just last year, Biden bombed Yemen without congressional approval. And all these people saying Trump's move was unconstitutional did not say anything about this a year ago. This includes people like Elizabeth Warren saying it's unconstitutional now. She did not make one post about Biden doing this. AOC saying that Trump is violating the Constitution. Did not make one post about Biden doing that. Chris Van Hollen, you know, Kilmar Abreu Garcia's best friend, same exact thing. There's even liberals like Harry Sisson who were literally cheering it on last January. Let's go, Biden. Now we're saying it was wrong that Trump did it. Many people on the right, including myself, are not afraid to speak out against Donald Trump. It truly shows we actually think for ourselves.
Has no capabilities of reaching the United States with its missiles or other kinds of weaponry. And if the concern was about their a nuclear program eventually being militarized to make nuclear weapons, Trump would not have destroyed the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, the Iran nuclear deal that was signed by Iran and 6 other countries and was approved by the United Nations back in 2015. This is not about any kind of threat from Iran, other than the threat of having a major power that could challenge U.S. Interests in the region.
Donald Trump has lied, according to the Maga supporters, according to a lot of people. Donald Trump has gone against all his words. Well, one of his biggest things that he said is that he will never put the United States of America into a war. Well, just as last night, he possibly has just done that when, on his orders, the United States carried out an attack on Iran where they blew up, as they call it, some nuclear facilities where Iran was trying to build a nuclear weapon. Now, this goes against everything that the Americans actually say, their own people, their own secretaries of defense, their own people talk about how Iran is not building any type of nuclear weapon, and they even signed a pact and deal with the Americans, one which I believe Donald Trump went against. Now, a lot of people are saying that America in this are just a puppet, that Israel has dragged the Americans into a war when the Americans shouldn't actually be involved in any way, shape or form. And a lot of people, a lot of MAGA supporters I can see are very angry. They're angry that Donald Trump has done this. They're angry that he is kind of showing weakness. A lot of people say he's showing weakness, that after bombing Iran, he went on to thank Israel's prime minister or president. So not only has he bombed another country that has done nothing to the United States of America, he has done it for somebody else. He has done it for somebody else's country. And then he thanks the leader of that other country for being manipulated into bringing the forces of the United States into this conflict. America really did not need to be in this conflict. It has nothing to do with them. And I believe what Israel will do, or perhaps is trying to do, they created tensions with Iran. They use the old, lie of, hey, Iran's trying to build a nuke. It reminds me of back in the day, the weapons of mass destruction that never existed. They go on this whole thing and back and forth. They talk about how Iran's, a danger to the rest of the world, da 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 da. They bring the Americans into it. They get the Americans into the war, and then the Israelis just kind of pull back and they allow the Americans, to do all the heavy lifting. That's what a lot of people are saying in America. It's what a lot of MAGA supporters are saying. It's what a lot of people are saying in general. Even people on the left, the Democrats, they are also saying that we should not have got into this war, that they should not have got into this war. They shouldn't have done what they did, that they broke the sovereignty of another country, to attack another country who has done nothing to you. It is something that is very, very bad. Like, it looks very bad, especially when you are doing it on the orders of another country. When you look at the president of America, you are looking at one of the most powerful figures in the world, the head of one of the most powerful countries in the world, and the head of the most powerful economy, and one of the most, if not, depending on who you ask, the most powerful militaries in the world. At least top three, whoever you ask. Whichever order you put them in, that's whatever it is. But the reality is, when you are the president of such a place, you are one of the most powerful people in the world. So to be in such position and then to do and be ordered around by somebody else who tells you to go halfway across the world into the Middle East and drop bombs into somebody else's country, it's not a good look. It's not a good look for the American people. It's not a good look for the American government. And it's definitely not a good look for Donald Trump, especially since he put his whole entire career on the fact that he never starts war and this, that, and the other. I think he tried to go to Iran, he tried to make the deal. Iran told them, this has nothing to do with you, stay out of this. Then Trump probably went to Israel. They say, hey, you've got to do something. They've got weapons of mass destruction. They got nuclear weapons. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. And then Trump probably, did what we saw yesterday. Now, if you read a lot of things and look at what a lot of people who are more in the know are saying about it, they are saying what they want is a regime change in Iran, one that favors massively the Western world, which is how most of these things go, right? If you look at Libya, you remember when the Americans were saying they have to bring democracy to Libya. You no longer hear any American saying that anymore. Why? Because Gaddafi went, right? Gaddafi is no longer around. So all of a sudden, their ambition to supposedly take democracy to Libya ended the moment he left. Despite Libya being in a horrific position, a worse position, they seemingly don't care anymore. Same with Iran. I believe they want that system change, they want the regime change, and they want one that will benefit Israel and one that will benefit the United States of America. But this quite possibly will come at the cost of millions of lives, both in Iran and United States. I mean, the amount of US soldiers that quite possibly will have to travel from the United States to the Middle East to fight and to lose their lives, all for the politics of the Israeli government and the United States government. And there's no doubt that the likes of the United Kingdom and other countries will probably also be dragged into this if this war does start. It gets to a point where it's even lazy now for them. Like I say, they say their main objective was to take out nuclear facilities. Again, it's just going back to the likes of Iraq and places like that where they say it's weapon of mass destruction, and then somewhere else it was this, and then so it's just a lazy format that they do. And like I say, for the United States, it does not look like a good look when you are supposedly the president of the most powerful country and you are being ordered around to do these things. It's not a good look, especially when your whole entire political career was based on one of the fundamentals that you will never drag the United States into another war, which you might have just done with a very powerful country. In the Middle East, they have hundreds of thousands of active personnel, hundreds of thousands in other groups, and they have some very big allies in Russia and China. We also want to go and talk about how we talk about how the United States condemned Russia when they invaded Ukraine, and talked about how it was unjust and this, that, and the other. But surely this is more than just to fly across the ocean to a country that hasn't done no wrong to you and done nothing, and drop bombs in that country, all on the orders, not of your own president, but on the orders of the leaders of another country. Is not a good look for America. And again, it shows that Trump is not this person many people thought he was, because again, the moment the elites came knocking on his door, what happened? He went against everything he said he stood for. He dropped all the bombs. He will continue to drop them if he has to. And he will send young American men over to Iran to lose their lives in a ditch, all for the sake not of the United States, not of the American people, But for the people of Israel and the government of Israel and the wealth and money of the elites in the Western world. So again, it's not a good look, and you can see why a lot of MAGA supporters, you can see why a lot of Democratic also supporters have actually came together and both actively said that this is not what America needed. This is not America's war. They should have stayed out of it. And now it might be another Vietnam War for them, where the Americans got dragged into Vietnam and then everybody else left them. And America was there for how so many years to kind of try to solve everything. This might just happen again. Israel brings them over, then Israel leaves, and America is left to try and sort out the mess created by somebody else. So you can see why a lot of people are angry, a lot of people are frustrated. They're believing again that they are being dragged into another war in the Middle East. They just got out of the Afghanistan war. They was in the Iraq war. They was in the Gulf War. Enough is enough, surely, for the United States. I mean, I've been in many, countless wars, and it's just not sustainable. If you look throughout history, some of the greatest empires, the Roman Empire, the Assyrians, even going way back to the Sumerians, people like this fell due to just one of the reasons. There's always, many reasons, but one of the reasons was countless wars that they just could not sustain. And there's actually a very being dragged into war or doing it can turn back and bite you. There's actually a story of a Assyrian king, I believe. He conquered and it was actually in modern day Iraq, I think. He conquered the city of Elam, and he wiped out the population in Elam, and he left. He didn't populate the city. He left the city, and he was leaving the city to crumble. But what happened was that city was filled by another group of people that settled there. I believe it was the Medes, somebody like that. And those people would then become the Persians. Those people would then become the Persians, and then Cyrus the Great, the people like that, would then conquer those lands. Now, this is a very good thing to look at, that doing something militaristically and doing something in a military style, even if you think you are winning, even if you think you are in a winning position, eventually will come back to haunt you. And we have seen it time and time again. Some of the greatest empires in history that fell drastically. And one of the reasons, or many of the reasons, are the things that the United States of America are following. They are following the same timeline, you could say, of empires of old that crumbled because of what United States are now doing. This over excessive need of greed, this over excessive need to want to put their hands in every pot, just countless pointless wars. It's just not sustainable. Like I say, we saw it with the Romans, we saw it with the Persians, we saw it with the Greek city-states, we saw it with Macedonia, we saw it with the Seleucids, we saw it with the dynasties in China, we saw it with the Japanese Empire, we saw it with the Egyptian dynasties, even the Macedonian Ptolemaic dynasties. Then going even further back, like I say, we saw it with the Assyrians, people like that. We saw it with the Canaanites. Anybody, we saw it time and time again, that the path that United States are on has been played throughout history, and it never ends well. United States are in a position where they really could be creating some of the most wonderful things that humanity has ever seen, but it just seems that they are still hell-bent on this very old mentality of war. that is what they want their legacy to be, war. And they are just all too happy to be dragged into pointless wars for the benefit of other people. And remember, these other people will never go to the battlefield for the United States. They will never go fight and die for the United States of America, nor for its people. So America really needs to take a step back and say, well, wait a minute. Like, what are we doing? Like, really? Because, again, they might have just been dragged into another war, and there was no need for it. They spent trillions of dollars in Afghanistan, and they left with nothing to show for it. The so-called people they went over there to eradicate, as soon as United States left, they became in power again, and they got all the equipment that the United States left behind. The United States cannot afford to keep doing this. It doesn't work out well. And history, like I say, history dictates things. History has proven this sort of way to run a country, to run a city-state, to run an empire, whatever. It's not sustainable. And a lot of you people might say, well, wait a minute, it's sustainable for the United States. Well, United States is only a few hundred years old. It can take a long time, yes, for a decline to happen. But those declines always happen. And they happen even faster when you continuously put yourself in pointless, needless, and avoidable wars, which America seems to just always find itself in. They just seemingly always find themselves in a pointless, avoidable war. And it's the American people that will be punished the hardest for it. It's the people of other countries that will be punished the hardest for it. And the only people that will benefit are that small 1% of elites that are moving people around like their numbers, moving people around without a care in the world, all for the sake of their personal wealth and their feeling of wanting to feel like some sort of god. So it's not a good thing, especially in today's world. There is no need for a war anymore. Like, seriously, I mean, if you look at the weapons, this is not like the ancient times when you had swords, spears, and chariots, and some of the most frightening things you could see were siege weapons, or later on with the Byzantines, they had Greek fire. But now, you are looking at weapons that can wipe out entire cities, wipe out entire people, wipe out entire this. And if you think people are going to fight fair in an all-out war now, it's not going to happen. You could have planes flying over, dropping parasites and disease and all these types of things into populated cities, entire cities leveled, all for the sake of the few rich people who, like I say, want to live in control and in power. And like I say, Donald Trump, a lot of Maga people are angry at him is because he spoke against such ways. He spoke against it. He said he'll bring peace to the United States. He said he will bring peace and prosperity. And he said he will focus entirely on the United States instead of reaching out to the rest of the world. He will bring the United States hands back to the United States, and they'll focus on the Americans only, which unfortunately he went against, and perhaps, like I say, has just dragged America into what could be a very long and costful war, all for the sake of somebody else. It's not a good look. But what do you think? Let me know in those comments below. Let me know if you see it a different way. Who knows? This has been Reaction Call. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.